Hey guys, Alex and Dan from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around we had Terminus. What was that one about?
Well, they somehow were made to land on a spaceship which was about to be raided by pirates, but two of the pirates boarded and then the other pirates ran off and left them there. And it turns out that the whole thing was a plague ship. People had, some kind of leprosy type disease, and they were all, liquefying themselves. But the Black Guardian is still trying to get, what's his name? Turlo to kill the Doctor, and he can't seem to find a way to do it. And they realize that the giant wolf, dog, bear, Sasquatch, whatever he was actually not eating people, killing them. He was actually trying to cure them, although some of them did actually die in the process. I was wondering if that was, had anything to do with the radiation therapies that were happening. And I looked that up, and apparently radiation therapies go all the way back to the late 1950s and 60s. So I don't know, but it was one of those things where the cure sometimes was as bad as the disease itself. But the big twist was that Nyssa decided to stay behind, and because she had met the big wolf guy and been able to talk to him, she decided to stay behind and use her skills to try to develop a permanent cure so that all of the people could be saved, including the slave types who work there.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Pretty much. The only thing missing was that if the ship's engine exploded, it would destroy the universe, because somehow, this ship, 14 billion years ago, was in the void, exploded, and created the universe. Kind of something I feel like they gloss over, that this is the origin of everything in the universe, and how it got there, but I guess it doesn't really matter. The point is, plague and no more Nyssa.
No more Nyssa, and that was really a surprise, because I thought they would ditch Tegan first. Because Nyssa, in my opinion, I think both of our opinions, is a much better companion than Tegan ever was.
Yeah. She's basically just like Romana the Third.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, we make jokes about Tegan, and especially about the Doctor not liking Tegan, which he frankly doesn't. I don't mind Tegan. She's not bad. Yes, she doesn't have skills to offer to this, but in terms of a character, she's not terrible. Now, I don't really like Turlo, but I guess we're not really supposed to like Turlo, because he is even still kind of a plant, a mole, but at the end of last episode, he's trying to break free from the Black Guardian, but the Black Guardian's like, no, you have to kill the Doctor, and this is your chance, and that's where we left off, so... so I don't know how long this whole thing will go on with Turlo, but I don't know, maybe he'll get over it and then just be a functioning member of the TARDIS team.
Well, it appears he's in. I'm looking at the descriptions here in the episodes, and it looks like he is at least part of this next 4 episodes. So
yeah, so I guess it's pretty much that. I don't have any more Magic the Gathering news to talk about. So I did, when I went back and looked at that, because I did put in all the card images and stuff, and I was like, I did talk about that for 7 minutes straight. Upon which I don't know how many people in the audience cared, and you didn't care, because you don't know anything about Magic the Gathering. You don't even know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh! So
I know enough about Yu-Gi-Oh! Not to like it.
You just don't like the original plot line of ancient Egyptian stuff. The card game itself is just a card game.
All right. Except that then when you continue to have me try to watch the other episodes on TV, when you get to playing cards while riding motorcycles, that takes the absurdity to a greater level.
You know the funny thing? That is a fan favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Series right there. Not mine. And for the I think it's generous to say that there maybe is one person in the comments of these videos that watches Yu-Gi-Oh! I think that's generous to say. But for the record, I am not the biggest fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. It's basically, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! If it tried to take itself seriously. And that doesn't really work. Even in the original series, when it kind of takes itself seriously, it's also kind of goofy. It's like, yes, it's the fate of the world, and we have to, fulfill the ancient Egyptian prophecies. Also, here's this kid from Brooklyn playing a card game. So, like, in the later shows, when they just sort of get rid of that and they stop being serious, it's a lot of fun, honestly. Like, when they go to card game school on a volcanic island, that's just hilarious. So, anywho. None of this relates to anything, not even Magic the Gathering, so, I guess that's pretty much it. You got anything else?
I got nothing. Let's go on to Enlightenment. Now, I would hope that this is, like Doctor Who meets Rene Descartes, or, Isaac Newton, or, Galileo, or somebody from that time period, but I suspect it's not.
No, I don't think it is, and,
Microphone's on now. Don't worry, we have a backup. Thank God I noticed that when I did, though. Luckily, our the webcam that I use does record audio. Hopefully, it records. Sometimes it records weird audio. Like sometimes, it has a built-in microphone where it sounds okay, and I've played with the settings to see if it is okay. And right now, since we're just talking, we haven't had the episode on, it should be okay. Sometimes, though, my webcam actually records straight from this microphone, which is great. I'm going to hope it did. Either way, we have the microphone on now, so it's not going to be a repeat of, what was it, Planet of the Spiders, where I only noticed that at the end. So, we're good. Anywho. Now that we have that established and the microphone is on and functioning, let's get on with Enlightenment.
By the way, we've heard the 14th Doctor's new theme, and it sounds great. Much better than this.
I should clarify, the 14th Doctor's new theme. But yes, anyway, it is a very good theme. People are going to call me crazy for those quotations, but mark my words, come November, I'm going to be the one laughing.
Barbara Clegg. Have we seen her before?
I don't think so. I don't know the last time we had a female name.
Here.
We must increase energy output. Now, push that lever to full.
Sure everything's all right?
Of course. Now, keep it at full, whatever happens.
If we keep it at full, we'll lose power completely.
Can you hear me?
I suppose the doctor must know what he's doing.
We're giving you more
You think so? He's out there.
Giving it all I've got, Captain.
We're giving you everything we've got.
You cannot succeed. I control the game.
This is the first time we've seen them together.
Destiny.
Who are you talking to?
The White Guardian.
White Guardian? Who's he?
I have no time to explain. I have to sort out these coordinates.
It was
Where
many
are we
seasons
I
ago.
don't know.
Make it 3. I'm coming with you.
No, I need you here.
Why does it have to be me?
The White Guardian may try and make contact again.
I'll stay if you like.
No, I need someone I can rely on. It's important.
Someone who doesn't run away.
I explained what happened on Terminus.
Save the arguing until later.
What if the White Guardian tells me something important?
Thank him politely.
Good luck.
Well, hey, at least he trusts Tegan.
Striker.
It's okay, he's just getting some rum.
Why is the rum gone?
The expression on his face.
Yes, almost as though they were hypnotized. Still, at least he didn't find the TARDIS. Come on.
Don't say hypnotized, I immediately think it's the Master. That's just genuinely terrifying.
Not bad.
You're insane. Let's get out of here.
Gently, Turbo. This one will do for me. You can take that one.
What do you think you're doing?
Behaving as if we've just joined the crew. Edwardian England.
Oh no, we're on Earth again.
So it seems.
Tends to happen a
First
lot.
British submarine launched.
Go for the nuts.
Or smack him upside the head with a little flashlight.
That works too.
Truth of the matter is, we don't rightly remember. He probably drank too much.
Yeah. Celebrating your last night ashore.
Yeah, but he don't drink.
No, I signed a pledge. Ain't touched a drop since, but I don't remember nothing either.
And you're quite
They've
sure.
been shanghaied.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Doctor,
What are you doing here?
don't ask. I was so stupid.
You're unharmed.
Well, at least
The
you
White
admit
Guardian
it.
make contact again?
Please. There is no cause for concern, Miss Tegan. We have the perfect antidote for Maldomere.
Thank you.
Breaking out the rum ration, sir.
Good.
Ah,
Well, here's
the
to
rum.
an eventful passage, gentlemen, and a stormy one. Look out for the lady.
Sir,
You know, you'd think they wouldn't have a white tablecloth.
Where are we going?
the wheelhouse.
Doctor?
If he's supposed to be the cook, who cooked this meal? There's a big gigantic yacht.
Come on, lad.
Well,
I'll catch you up.
Tronics.
do what?
An Edwardian racing yacht.
Maybe it's a space submarine.
Look at the screen. We're not on a yacht, we're on a ship. A spaceship.
Okay.
Well, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. But
Now, what was the story where they were on a ship but it kept blipping back in time on a time loop? Remember that one? It looked like it started like in Egypt, same time period, early 1900s, and there was a group of people, but they kept blipping back to the same thing over and over again.
yeah, that was a third Doctor episode, I think.
Yeah.
I think that was the one where, like, they were, like, miniaturized.
Yeah.
And so they just kept looping that same thing, and the Doctor and Joe had to break out of it. Yeah, okay. I mean, look, I love putting things in space that should never be in space. So see, now why they have wetsuits? I guess unless that's supposed to be a spacesuit,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like I love that idea. I've said this, I think, in multiple episodes before, but I have this idea for a sort of sci-fi story where you're literally herding cattle through space, and it's essentially the same as a normal cattle run. You got the cattle, you've got cowboys on horses and stuff, but you're just going throughout the cosmos. It sounds stupid, but I love that idea. Or there's another, I think the old Space Quest games, you would like fly up to like a burger joint in space. There's something about that that's just hilarious to me. So I love the idea of putting these Edwardian sailing ships in the middle of space. I do question why and what this has to do. Well, I guess with the past 3 episodes, it's all, what does this have to do with the Black Guardian and the White Guardian now? But that's just the scenario. I find it weird, though, that this has just turned into another Black Guardian season, where the first 2 stories were not that, and seemed to set up that we were getting a new, well, a returning villain every episode, and now we've just kind of, unless there's a new one in here, we've kind of gotten away from that.
Yeah.
So,
And there was, and again, I hate to use the word padding, but there was a lot of Tegan skulking around in the hold, running away, getting caught, running away, getting caught, smacking a guy upside the head, running away, getting caught. That, again, not padding, not filler, but it seemed to go on unnecessarily long.
yeah. It's also an interesting choice. I feel like the lack of music, and I'm not saying this to be like as a criticism. It's an interesting sort of mood setter. Like it does feel like we're kind of on this ship. Although, as it kept going, I was like, okay, well, if the ship is being rocked back and forth, and people are screaming when they go up there, it's like, are we in some sort of storm or something? And it's like, well, it's just space turbulence, I guess. But yeah, so you do kind of question that, but it's like I do kind of like the atmosphere that it's created. But yeah, it's like, I mean, even just there when it's like, oh, we're on a spaceship, and then it cut, I was like, oh, okay, I didn't think we really got anywhere. So, I don't know.
Mr. Mate, we will look at our competitors, please.
Aye, sir.
Mate and mariner, of course, seafaring terms. Although in the subtitles they spelled mariner M-A-R-R, and the real word mariner only has the single R there at the beginning.
I think they have their maritime history slightly confused.
Why waste such skill? What are they trying to achieve?
It's like a game.
A good time.
Crew are real enough.
Allow me to escort you to your cabin.
Hurry.
Oh, nonsense, Tegan. The ship's hardly moving.
For you, baby.
Now, wait a minute.
I don't remember being seasick when we
You're
crossed the
right.
Atlantic.
What else is going?
Rum?
Drink it.
No, thanks.
It'll make you feel much better.
Really? Drink it yourself.
It's quite safe.
Drink it. It'll make you feel much better.
He looks like a younger version of an actor from the 50s and early 60s. Edward someone. He was in The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. I'll think of him probably after all this is done. Hello.
Say.
Mulhare. Edward Mulhare, I think, is the name of the guy.
Not interesting. Venus.
Our first obstacle.
Learned Aikido there.
Nothing to do. Addison Contemporary. 17th century Spanish, isn't it?
You're very observant.
This must be what they give the crew. Well, doesn't seem to do them any harm.
Except possibly their memories.
A time dweller, you travel in time.
You're reading my thoughts.
You are a time lord, a lord of time. Are there lords in such a small domain?
And where do you function?
Eternity,
Marker boy, sir, coming up at the starboard bow.
the endless waste of eternity.
I guess those are spacesuits.
There's your music.
Yeah.
Why didn't we crash?
Well, we had a lot of luck.
Luck. We could have been killed.
But worth risking to win.
We are determined to be first.
And winner takes all.
Of course.
Let us see who is next around the marker, Mr. Mariner.
So,
Creatures and the Buccaneer.
neck and neck.
This is madness.
We must stay with it. Remember what the White Guardian said, winner takes all.
People
Has
who
to
are
be this
Eternals
race.
have no fun, so they risk everything by doing these stupid races.
You talk as though they were toys.
To me, they are.
Then why is one of you taking this race so seriously?
Where are you going?
You don't know.
To Miss Tegan's cabin.
You didn't know, though. Just for a second. Interesting.
Already slipped up. Well, this is way better than the Eternals movie.
You will never leave this.
Good read.
Snidely Whiplash.
I do understand how you feel, but I must ask you to stay. The TARDIS is the last thing I want them to find out about.
TARDIS.
Dang it.
They do.
Casting call.
You wait here. Doctor,
Need a
can't we all leave?
very
Out of pound, isn't it?
handsome actor who can stare with a blank expression for long periods of time. They just happen to have a miniaturized suit that would fit her.
On deck, you will have an interesting view of our competitors. It may help you to decide which one is the saboteur.
I wish he kept his jacket on with the suit.
You have failed me.
Shouldn't the Eternals know about the Black Guardian then?
Now see my wrath. ship in perpetual torment.
No! I will never serve you again! No!
Well, we certainly learned a lot.
Yeah.
But again, it's not really a criticism. It's just an observation that although it is very spooky, it's still very slow. The pace, I don't want to say it's dreadful, but it could use a little more action.
Yeah. It's a slower thing. I mean, it's mainly because like we don't have any way of like fighting back at the moment. We're just still on board the ship, getting the information about the Eternals and all that stuff. So it's just that we haven't gotten to the action yet. But just the setting alone, I'm just way more invested in this than I probably should be, or maybe, I don't know.
Makes you wonder where they got the sets.
Well,
do they have some other Edwardian show in production at this time?
Well, yeah. The interesting thing, because we said this is all sort of spooky, this should be going up to YouTube on October 30th. So it all kind of works out. Which, funny enough, I think that happened last year, too, when we did, what was it, The Horror of Fang Rock, I think? Yeah. And that went out on Halloween. So, I don't know how that keeps happening. And I don't know if that'll happen next year, because I frankly don't know where we will be next year. So,
well, we should see. This is the 5th. We got 2 more. By this time next year, we may actually be back to the 8th Doctor movie, or even into the 9th Doctor.
Yeah. So, we'll probably be around modern Doctor Who by this time next year. So,
You like giving people shocks, don't you?
I wanted to show you I was telling the truth. Now you can trust me.
I feel like in any other episode, this would be the point where it's like, all right, so now the female companion has someone that she'll go off with, but there's just none of that here, because he's a creep.
Come on, Lex, let's try and get a line to him! Wait! Line's not attached! Come on!
Man. Remember Katarina? That was a long time ago. Oh. How nice of the Buccaneer.
He's safe. Come on!
That's an old Oklahoma joke, by the way. What's the price of corn?
We must get to that ship.
A Buccaneer?
Your friend might be better dead than with the captain of that ship.
Our mateys.
I love that he kept his tie in his wetsuit.
Why did you come to me? Was your intention sabotage? No? Then why did you come to my ship?
He tried to kill himself.
What is it?
We've been hit.
This certainly is the era of the Doctor can't think anything.
Again, the visuals in this, except for the floating in the air stuff, is very good.
Well, yeah.
Nice costumes. Very dark and grimy, just like it should be. Or polished and elegant, but dark over on the other ship.
Well, yeah.
Champagne?
Please.
Was he thinking about getting a new stock of celery?
Your companion is a very beautiful woman.
Is she?
The confusion in her mind is exhilarating.
Is it? Look, I need to find Turlo. Can you still sense his mind?
But why does he wear it?
Got to push the 3 buttons. Oh, well.
Oh.
Oh no, it's CBS.
No, no.
Katarina experience here? Oh no.
You will die.
Please!
Holding his jacket like Bane.
That's a green screen, but very hard to tell.
Well,
he's being flushed down a toilet.
well.
He's already abandoned you, boy.
Throw the jewel.
There's still the question of focus.
What do you mean?
Well, Rack only creates the power. She must have something to focus it onto. Now, how do you think she manages that?
And with all the gifts she gives away.
The ring.
Yeah.
Resist any further, Doctor, and you will regret it.
Oh, Doctor, you're such a fool. Did you really think your ephemeral mind could defeat me? Lost. All that awaits is your ultimate destruction.
It's terrifying. She looked right at us. And we're not the Doctor either.
They should have introduced her earlier.
Probably.
I mean, even just small bits to introduce the Greek captain and Davy and her, that would have made it a little bit more interesting because, let's face it, the ship that they were on, the yacht, is extremely boring. And these other guys seem to have, some personality at least.
Well, yeah. This kind of has the same problem. It's not really necessarily with this particular narrative, but it's the problem that the season with the Black Guardian had of none of these stories go together, and the Black Guardian is not that interesting of a character. Yeah. So I don't know what we're supposed to be getting out of him in this episode, And the thing is, the Black Guardian was not in the Five Doctors, and that's where this season rounds out. So at some point in either this episode or the next one, we have to resolve this whole Black Guardian thing and get somewhere, I guess. I don't know.
Lost. All that awaits is your ultimate destruction. Now.
And yet, to their credit,
yes.
They are pirates.
Have you heard of
So.
time standing still?
Yes, it's an expression. It means... You brought me here.
I have heard of time standing still. It's a JoJo reference.
I'd like to rejoin the party.
Also seems to be these 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Without you, I'm nothing. Don't you understand?
What?
I am empty. You give me being. I look into your mind and see life, energy, excitement. I want them. I want you. Your thoughts should be my thoughts. Your feelings, my feelings.
You know what thought's going through her head? No means no, dude.
He bores me.
No, listen! The power outside the ion chamber! I heard the power that speaks to you, I heard it, and I know the voice! He speaks to me as well. I serve him as I wish to serve you.
I guess that's how the Black Guardian is a part of this. But she should have used an actual jewel and not a Jolly Rancher. I think this is the beginning of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Is this the real life? Is it just fantasy?
The Doctor has failed, and Rack has won. The race is over.
Others will recharge them for me.
These creatures have no knowledge of good or evil.
I'm so distracted by the birds on their heads.
Will give them power.
I'm afraid the captain can't be with us. She met with a rather unfortunate accident. Both the captain and the first mate fell overboard.
Wow.
I brought the ship into harbour with some assistance.
You're right, Doctor. Let the Eternals return to the place from which they came.
No. I want to stay.
Back to your echoing void. Back to the vastness of eternity.
Tegan, help me.
I can't.
I need you.
Doctor?
That felt good.
Which will you give him? The Doctor or this? The choice is yours.
Here. Take it!
Jeez.
While I exist, he exists also. Until we are no longer needed.
Let's get away from here.
That's a good
Anywhere
idea.
in particular.
Yes, my planet. My home.
Why not?
Okay. I love Peter Davison's face. It's the funniest thing. He's just... Okay then, why not? So that is our second go-around with the Black Guardian, which has taken up too much of this season. It's...
Well, again, I kind of got the idea that they were leading to the Enlightenment, like what happened to Dr. Spalko in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, that he would give the Enlightenment to the Black Guardian, who would then literally not be able to contain it, and it would destroy him. And but then the White Guardian says, no, as long as I exist. Well, the obvious answer there is for the White Guardian to say, since he cannot exist without me, then I will myself out of existence. And that way, he won't have to worry about him again in the future, and the Doctor can take Turlo back to his home planet, wherever that is. We've never found out where that was.
I don't know, like I was waiting for the moment when he would say Earth, like he's finally accepted going back to Earth, but I don't know. But yeah, it's the Black Guardian stuff is okay. It is slightly disappointing when, you know, we have the first episode and it's Omega, and then we have the second one. Who is the returning villain on that one? I can't even remember what episode that was now.
Well, you can scroll back to it.
Yeah, let me look real quick. What was that one?
Oh,
it was the Mara. That was it. We had the return of the Mara, for better or for worse. Then it's like, okay, now we'll have the return of the Black Guardian. And so you think that for the next two stories, it's like, okay, so we're having a returning villain because it's the 20th anniversary. But instead, we just... I mean, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like the E-Space arc, where it's like that was 3 stories randomly in that season, and we got Adric, we left Romana, but we didn't even really get that. The most we had was we left Nissa, and
yeah,
I guess Turlo's fine now. So it's... I don't know. I was definitely hoping for more returning villains, but I guess a lot of them are going to return in the 5 Doctors anyway, so I don't know.
It had bits and pieces of a really good story, but yet again, I know a lot of our, especially friends in the UK, always talk about how we think more linear than other people do. It's not that, again, I'm a writer. I like things to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. This one has a beginning, a middle, and end, but not necessarily 3 of them that go together.
Well, it has a beginning and a middle, and a beginning and a middle, and then an end. Because, honestly, it's like once you go over to Rack, they pretty much drop Stryker, and, like, I guess you still have, what was it, Mariner? Or, like, you still have him, which, that was weird. Just his character in general, like, I don't know, it was a strange, like, okay, so he... I guess, he doesn't even realize he falls in love with Tegan, She completes him. Just everything he was saying, though, like, yes, he is an Eternal. He doesn't understand how to talk to girls, I guess, we can say that. But it's like, we can say that they're not very social, especially with ephemerals, like our crew here. But at the same time, I was like, dude, this is not the right things to be saying. It's like, you complete me, you are the missing thing, you give me life, and it's like, that is a lot to put on a woman's shoulders, like that's like, she does not need to exist to make you better, like, and again, he's an Eternal, obviously he doesn't know really what he's talking about, and there's all sorts of problems, but it's like, I'm glad that at the end of this, when it's like, no, I need Tegan, help me, let's stay together. I love she just is completely dry, just no, and he just disappears. And it's like, I like that, because especially too, because we kind of had a reminder of that last time, where it's like, like, oh, is Nissa going to be staying with, what was it, Olvir? No, she's staying for, the cure and everything.
Yeah.
But it got in my head that especially because of how they wrote off Leela, and how that was the worst way of writing off Leela, honestly.
And who was the one that they left back in Ancient Troy? Same thing happened. Within 3 episodes, she was in love with Troilus.
Vicky. That was the weirdest, like, I'm going to stay behind in Ancient Troy. It's like, you're from, like, the 2500s, like... I mean, I guess you're immune to any diseases that are going to come along, but still, Yeah. I don't... So, I'm glad that there wasn't any of that with Tegan. Especially just because that just doesn't fit Tegan whatsoever.
They kind of did the same thing with Joe, too, though, didn't they?
Yeah, it worked a bit better with Joe. And to be fair, like... she was already, that was still in her time period on Earth, so that was at least fine. But yeah, they do kind of do the same thing with Joe. Or, I mean, I guess the first example of that is Susan, which is very not sure about that with Susan either. So I'm glad that they just completely ignore that, because he was kind of a creep, and obviously, yes, he's an Eternal and everything. So he doesn't understand, basic human emotions and all this stuff. But it's like, that was just a terrible situation. So I'm glad they didn't leave Tegan there. So, but other than that, yeah, it's like, it's exactly what you said. Because at first it's like, okay, it's interesting being on this ship. There's this crew, they're drinking the rum. And then by the end of the second episode, they're nowhere to be seen again. And, like... it's exactly what we say of, it's the problem of the 4-episode format. Yeah. Which is weird that 20 years in, they, like, none of the writers still haven't figured this out. Like, it's not terrible, but it's also, I mean, it's like when we watched, what was it, Black Orchid, which was a 2-parter, and the whole thing of that was supposed to be this murder mystery. But the murder doesn't start until the end of the first episode, because that's where you have to have the big cliffhanger. The problem is with that, it pushed all of the plot, all of the character building, and all of the mystery onto that second episode, and it didn't work. The pacing was completely off. And that is sort of a problem with these stories, is that with each one, you have to write towards that cliffhanger, that, you tune in tomorrow or next week, and it'll get all the kids talking, and that's fine, but it just doesn't fully work. And here it's like, okay, we have the sailors, we have this ship, this yacht basically, and now let's leave all of that behind. Let's go to these pirates instead, who, to their credit, are involved with the Black Guardian, but we're just completely abandoning whatever we set up originally.
Yeah. Now, I like the fact that they did set up in the first episode the ring when the Doctor said, wait a minute, that's the one thing that's... But that also tells me that what they could have done is instead of all that hiding from Mariner and the rum and talking to the crew members for so long with no apparent reason, in that first episode, even into the beginning of the second episode, show us the Greeks. Show us Davy's ship. I'm assuming this is Davy Jones, but who knows? And that way you become more invested, and then suddenly when she disappears, and then now again they had the sword with the hilt that had the stone in, it would just be... It's better to, like you said, spread it out evenly rather than, we got nothing going on in the first episode. The second episode starts to get better, and then suddenly everything's crammed into the third and fourth episode. So you're right. And yes, format writing, it's very hard. I marvel that people who write for episodic television do as good as they do.
Yeah.
But that being said, in this very structured 4-episode format, it doesn't always work.
Like, it would at least be something if the writers just had the freedom of how many episodes they need, And then, because if you had... I guess this would probably take more pre-production time, but if you had, the author, go off, write it, how many episodes, or even just write it, and then we'll cut it into episodes there, and then you kind of look at it, because they have to meet a certain quota. I guess that's also the problem is, which has been a problem pretty much until the advent of streaming, is everyone in television needs to get to that required episode, length, basically. Yeah. You have to get, however many here, 25, 26 episodes in this season. A lot of shows did that. Star Trek certainly did that. And in something like that, like with Star Trek The Next Generation, it's like, all right, here's a 26 episode season. Not all of them are going to be amazing, because some of them are, we need to fill this 26 episodes. Here's, getting killed by a tar monster or something like that. And here, again, it does work just a little bit better. But yeah, it's like, if you could do that, write out, here are the stories we want to do, 4 or 5 stories we want to do. And then if you have some leftover time, like, okay, we have, 4 episodes we still need to fill for this season. If you could bring someone back or just get someone else to fill out that remaining season. But I don't know. And of course we're talking about something that I guess this is 40 years ago now, if this is the 20th, and now we're on the 60th year. So obviously we're talking about solutions to something that is long well over and done with, but I mean, it is sort of the thing of like, when you look at stuff like streaming, where it's like, okay, you don't need to conform to some, even though sometimes I think at the very least, like, episode length should have some conformity in streaming, but that's a whole other issue. But it's like, you can do this. You do have this sort of freedom, for better or for worse in some cases. But here it's like, it's close. It's still good. It's still a good episode. It was still really interesting, but I don't know, like, maybe if you had a thing of like, maybe if we just had a thing at the beginning, the start line of the race. We see all the competitors. Maybe Tegan's on a different ship, Maybe she's thrown to a different ship. The Doctor and Turlough are on this ship. You have the half dynamic of, Turlough still being with the Black Guardian, even though the Doctor really didn't know about that until the end. Although he didn't seem that shocked, so it would have been hilarious if he had known about the Black Guardian the whole time and he just wasn't that concerned about it, but that's a whole other thing. But I don't know, because it's definitely the thing that we've had many times in episodes before, where you start off and then by the middle of the story you completely abandon everything that you've done to go to something else with these new characters who are still interesting, and somehow that gets wrapped up at the end.
Yeah.
And here it gets wrapped up with the black and white Guardians with birds on their heads.
Because they didn't have that the first time we saw them. The White Guardian was in like this, Southern gentleman.
It was a
Colonel
completely
Sanders.
different actor too. Like, you're right that he had like this strange white, I guess Southern plantation owner suit. He's on the ads of why you should wash your hands and stuff. And the Black Guardian, I think, was a different actor back then as well. But yeah, at the very least with the Black Guardian, it's not as noticeable that he has a bird on his head because it's black. So it blends into every scene he's in. But on the White Guardian, it's very apparent that he has a duck on the top of his head, and it's the dumbest looking thing. So I don't know. I also just don't get them. So are they Eternals? Are they like one step above Eternals? I don't know. The whole thing of the Eternals is also just kind of weird. Like, it's like, how have we never seen these guys before? Or
they live outside of time. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then I guess the Black and White Guardians, I mean, they are directly related to that because they are the Guardians of Enlightenment. Does this have anything to do with the key to time? Is that enlightenment? But if it would, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. It doesn't all gel together. It's definitely a story that the writer wrote this down, and then they were like, hey, we need you to tie in the Black Guardian. And they were like, okay, I guess I'll do that. Or someone came in and wrote in, the Black Guardian chokes Turlo. That's our continuation of this story. I don't know. But the sets were good.
Yeah.
The sets were good. It is sort of that, what we call the quasi-historical of like, it's in space, it's space stuff, but there is sort of a historical setting. So that was good. They really didn't go anywhere with the rum, which clearly the rum is some weird, like, brain-altering thing, which I guess that made them think they were on the ocean instead of just out in space.
Yeah.
But they never really did anything with that. Did the crews go back? All the crews of the different ship, did they go back to Earth? Like, I guess they kind of disappeared, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
A lot of loose ends in this story.
Yeah.
Again, it has the basis of a great story, but unfortunately, because of the format and because of injecting the Black and White Guardian, it didn't go where I think they wanted it to go.
Yeah, so... And it definitely... See, I feel like it probably should have had a returning villain. Like, at one point when they said, like, oh, they seem hypnotized, the first thing my mind thinks of is the Master, and I thought, wouldn't that just be so much more fun? Because I was thinking about, like, okay, of these 3 Black Guardian episodes, which one is sort of the best? And it's probably the first one we had, which was Modron Undead, but that's really just because it had the Brigadier, and the Brigadier is a lot of fun. So I think they overestimated how compelling the Black Guardian is.
Yeah.
So, we've had more of the Black Guardian now than we did in that season.
Yeah.
So it's at least something. I think they also overestimated how interesting of a character Turlo is, in that he's not. I mean, he makes Tegan better, but...
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not the actor's fault, because, again, visually, and what he's doing with what he's been given is good, but he's really very one-dimensional. He doesn't have a lot of depth to it. We don't see him struggling to say, look, I know you want me to kill the Doctor, but it's not in my nature to kill him. What if I were to arrange somebody else to kill? Just a little bit more internal struggle from him would have made him a little bit more interesting, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's also just the problem that plot line just has dragged on way too long. It's like, all right, the 3rd episode of the Black Guardian and Turlo being a spy and stuff, and it's like, okay, can we just get to the point already, So, I don't know.
Now, also, didn't they say when the 2 bodies came out of the ship, that didn't the Doctor say Rack and her first mate?
Yeah, he somehow he just threw them overboard.
But Rack is an Eternal.
They didn't just like disappear instantly for some reason. I wasn't... Yeah, because as I was watching that, I was like, well, I guess it can't be them. It must be the Doctor and Turlo, and somehow they'll survive. But they didn't just instantly vanish like the one crewmate.
And again, just send Rack out and send the first mate and another guy in there, a henchman, to dispose of the Doctor and Turlo. But again, now that you think about it, go, wait a minute. If Rack was an Eternal like everybody else, then why wasn't she able to stop being thrown overboard?
Why didn't she see that coming too? Especially, I mean, I know there's like a whole thing of like at the lowest level, it's harder to read thoughts, but the Doctor's right there.
Yeah. And
now it's kind of robbed us of a scene of how did he overpower both of them?
Yeah.
Like that's honestly the most now if this was the third Doctor, no questions asked, of course he could do that. But the fifth Doctor, I've never seen him be that physical.
And theoretically he killed them. The Doctors, So anyway, let it go is not worth it. What's coming up next, or have we finished all of our notes?
Well, the one other thing, I don't know why I take notes anymore. I never use them in these discussions, but the one other thing is, it's strange because the fifth Doctor, he's kind of a no-nonsense Doctor, and he's very much more serious than, especially the fourth Doctor, and we've gone into his character and everything. I love, though, the one goofy thing he does is he replaced the celery on his jacket. Why did he do that? And he's never given an explanation of why he has that celery either.
I thought someone in the comments once, maybe right at the very beginning of Davison's turn here as the Doctor, that it will later be explained why he has the celery.
Maybe, yeah. It's just like as we keep going, because his costume, just the cricket outfit, is fine, whatever. But the celery honestly kind of doesn't match his character at all, Like, it's something that Tom Baker would do, but him, I don't know. So,
unless he intends to put it in a Bloody Mary.
Oh, yeah. Next up is The King's Demons.
All right.
That sounds exciting. And if I'm correct, that is only a two-parter. So,
and it looks to be a historical at a medieval joust.
Yeah, so. Well, that sounds lovely. Yeah. The King's Demons sounds lovely. So, yeah. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
Well, leave all your comments about how we're wrong down below, and he'll read them. And with that all being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our Doctor Who classic reactions if you want to go check those out. There's also another playlist with all of my modern Doctor Who reactions if you want to go check those out as well. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. Oh, and happy Halloween.